All right, Noah, it is time to have a very realistic conversation about West Virginia football for the rest of the season. And I think, you and I kind of discussed a little bit. I think we have a pretty good detailed breakdown of not only this game, the kind of negatives and positives about it, but the season outlook because, you picked West Virginia to win. I picked them to lose, but only by 3. I said Kansas 24-21. Good teams win. No, great teams cover. We did neither. So West Virginia, obviously embarrassing loss, 41-10 on the road. And this is kind of my thing. No, I think this game, first game in conference play, this is my takeaway. It is time to shift our focus and our expectation for this team from, I think you and I preseason both picked this team to win right around 8 games, right? We were kind of thinking maybe B tier, right? Maybe not like in the hunt for a Big 12 championship, but a very inspiring year and right in the hunt, very competitive in the Big 12. We need to shift our expectations to, I don't want to say rebuild, but we have to take this year with a grain of salt. I'm gonna put it that way, right? It's just not pretty. All right, it's not pretty. There are major holes everywhere. We'll kind of get into some players and stuff that have been mightily struggling, not only this game but in the season. Um, it's just time to tamper expectations, and I would be the first one to kind of put my reputation on the line and say that I messed up. Right, I overvalued this team coming into the season. It happens. I wasn't being a homer. I genuinely expected some of the pieces that we brought in to be better. Okay, and I fully take responsibility for that take and all those things. And my wallet's kind of paying for it after I bet on West Virginia to cover and all that stuff. What going forward, because it doesn't get any easier, Noah. That schedule is brutal coming up, obviously, with the home game versus Utah next week. Where's your mindset at as far as where we were on this team preseason compared to now after this Kansas game?
Gage, this is a team. I mean, when you look at what they were able to do against Pitt, um, I think we're going to be a team that gives a lot of people struggles at home. I think away from home, we are going to struggle, right? I think there's so many holes on the offensive line. Just we don't know. There are so many things that we're questioning going into week 5 of the season that we figured, maybe you have some growing pains week 1, week 2, and they're hashed out by week 3. We thought we got answers in week 3 against Pitt, but that obviously wasn't true. We saw Nico struggle yesterday, and I don't want to say Nico struggled, right? I don't think Patrick Mahomes could throw the ball behind that offensive line, right? It's just very, very, very. I don't know. It's just like we had our hopes up. It's kind of the life of a Mountaineer fan. You have the hopes up that hey, this could be the year that we start getting things in line, to push towards that conference championship next year. We both didn't think it was impossible because the Big 12 so open that West Virginia, makes it, or is in contention. But we kind of thought that was maybe, that's definitely ceiling just being in contention. I think it's time we shift the focus to kind of like, okay, if this team could go 500 or one game above 500, that's one hell of a season, right? Because the offensive line Gage, and we can go around, there's so many players this way, that way. Defensively, I feel pretty solid. There's definitely a good scheme there. They're on the field way too much. Just there are no answers you're going to be able to get in the next 3 weeks of that offensive line. They're going to have one good game, and then they're going to have a game just like yesterday, right? The interior of our offensive line, center, and the two guards, Chemo and Walter Youngbear. There are so many questions with those three, and I think that's kind of where the whole thing. Landon Livingston, we saw him go out yesterday. Didn't see an update on his injury to see if that's going to be long term or not. But with already, I mean, how bad are we behind those guys? Is my question mark. If we're not seeing other guys come into the game, so I think as a fan base, we have to realize, okay, this is Rich Rod's first year back at home, right? He's going to get there. There's no question. Me in the next 3 years, we will be, in competition for that Big 12 championship, and hopefully, years after that, it's pretty consistent that West Virginia becomes a program. But right now, we need to make it through the season. We need to try and keep as many guys healthy as we can, and see what this. I'm not giving up completely on the season, saying, "Oh, it's next year," but just if we can get bowl eligible, that is huge for this team right here, Gage. I think that's good for recruiting purposes, transfer portal, all those things.
Yes, I think the goal is the realistic goal, right? Realistic is 500, is 6 wins, is a bowl game versus Army or whatever it may be. That's realistic and that's okay. Okay. That's where it hit me as I'm watching every snap of that game is we're not there. We're not competing with the Texas Techs. We'll see obviously against Utah later on next week and Texas Tech later in the season. And like you said, at this point, it now becomes, you know, I still think that we're going to be a really good home team. No, I think that there's just some concerns about away. And while I'm on that topic, the more you kind of dive into it, this was just a bad spot for West Virginia. It really was. It was set up for them to get their ass kicked. Kansas coming off a bye, emotional win versus Pitt. Ty Edwards somewhat banged up, obviously doesn't play, right? We can sit here and just kind of nitpick and be like, oh, Young Bear is terrible, Chemo is terrible, Clay Ash is terrible. You can sit there and do that all you want, but that's not what we're doing. Okay, that's not who we are. That's not how we're approaching this. There is just a expectation that we thought this team had, right? And it's just not there. And that's okay. That's okay. Like you said, it's not punting the season. The season's not over. There's still, X amount of games left. But it's time to just start being very realistic in these talks. And let's just go right into the game itself, Noah. Offensively, what I took away from it is this. Yes, Kansas coming off that bye week, so it's extra time to prep, more film, yada, yada, yada. The genuine overlook of the offense just looked way too easy for Kansas to game plan for. I don't know if you're kind of on the same page with that. I just thought, and yeah, some of it has to do with the O-line play, lack of rushing, a lot of things, just bad play. But the overall just play calling and everything, there was no fluidity. There was nothing bouncing off one play to the next. We saw the multiple quarterback rotations again. I don't know. I will say I thought the offense, you can just tell when Henderson comes in and even Khalil there at the end, the offense looks so much different when it's a quarterback with true rushing ability compared to Nico. But the problem that you then face with that is Nico is the best thrower that we have, right? Not taking anything away from Henderson. I still don't think we saw enough of him actually throwing the ball. But Rich Rod sees a lot more than we do, and he's very confident in saying Nico's the best pure thrower on this team. But the offensive dynamic shifts so heavily when you have the rushing upside of Jalen Henderson and Khalil. We saw that those two drives that Mr. Jalen Henderson had with his legs, 7 carries, 79 yards, and a touchdown. Khalil, 5 carries, 36 yards. Just the elusiveness to get outside the tackles. The offensive line interior is not very good right now, so you have to be able to get outside of the tackles and make plays with your feet. And we kind of saw some design quarterback runs from Rich Rod with Henderson specifically when he was in the game. So your kind of overall takeaway as far as the offensive side of the ball in this Kansas game.
Gage, without Ty Edwards standing next to Nico's damn near useless back there because the quick game only works so long, right? We saw Rich Rod kind of go away from the run there for a couple drives, and there was some early down success in the sense that Nico's, getting the ball out quick. We're hitting guys on the numbers, 5-6 yard gain, first down. Then same thing, quick game. But then the corners understand, okay, they're running quick game. I can come up and press, and they don't have enough time to throw the ball back there because the offensive line can't hold up. Like you said earlier, this isn't sitting here shitting on Clay Ash, Chemo, Walter Youngbear. And these guys are put in hard situations, right? These guys are in a situation where Walter Youngbear has probably the most experience on the offensive line out of everything. He did play group of 5 football. You're asking him to learn a whole new scheme. Chemo's in a situation where he played defensive line last year, and you asked him to flip the side of the football to play offense, Gage. So, I mean, these guys are working against, all odds to try and protect this guy and understanding what what you have to do, those type of things. It's difficult, right? It's not like as simple as, okay, block the guy right in front of you because the blitz are only getting more, exotic as time goes. And this isn't sitting here making excuses for our offensive line, but for, the viewer watching on our side, we're sitting there watching. We can see it in slow-mo, like, why did he not touch that guy, right? Yeah, he should have got that guy. And when he goes back and watch film, he's going to say, man, I should have hit that guy. I should have blocked him. But offensively, with no, like kind of what you hinted towards, with no interior, push, those type of things, the inside run is damn near non-existent. And if you can't run the ball inside, then you're relying on the quick game, and the quick game only works so long till the corners decide to come and play press coverage, right? So you're working against yourself. I kind of have a different view on the whole, play calling situation, because I kind of think Rich Rod's offense has always thrived on staying in front of the sticks, and it's damn near impossible whenever you're getting 2 yards on first down, right? Like the same thing we kind of said last video. Are you willing to get rid of your identity, for a little bit of this year to be successful? I don't think he is, and that's okay, because he's trying to build something here. He wants to get it, and that's what you're going to get with Nico at quarterback. As you said, when Jalen got in, everything looked a little bit better. Things opened a little bit more. Even the running backs had a little bit more running room, because the other guys on the other side were worried about that quarterback run.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kansas defensively, I thought they played, obviously they played well. They held us to 10 points, but it's just one of those things where Kansas is a good football team, right? They're led by a very good head coach. They're not a pushover by any means. I, saw some speculation about how this should have been kind of not an easy game, but maybe we have a little bit of a slight edge. Anytime you travel to Lawrence, Kansas, it's not an easy place to get. You can't just roll into, Pittsburgh Airport or somewhere and just get a direct flight to Kansas. That is not a real thing, okay? So it's a tough travel, a lot of odds against you. You get smacked in the mouth early. At halftime, it's 20-3. I think one of the things that is a positive to take away from this, and I actually put it down in the notes, defensively, 4th and 1 in the goal line. Defense made a stand 3 minutes, 39 seconds in the third. They were down 34-3, Noah, and made a defensive stop. Guys are hyped. Zach Alley's cheering them on, things like that. This isn't, it's way different if we sit here and it's like it's an effort issue, right? We're sitting here watching guys half-ass, lollygag, shit like that. Then it's a real problem. That's where we, as people who just talk on the internet and give football opinions, that's where we're allowed to rip you and say, you're terrible, you're this, you're that. That's what I'm saying. When this isn't an issue of effort and execution, right? Maybe some execution, sometimes you're not as good. There's just people who are better. That happens, okay? But I was just glad to see that. I thought that, you're down big, you get a goal line stand, guys are still pumped up, they're still believing in each other. That to me kind of meant something. That was kind of my one positive takeaway. Not a lot of finger pointing, things like that, other than maybe Rich Rod at Nico on some plays and stuff like that. But yeah, man, I thought Jalen Daniels played a sound game. We kind of saw the good in him. He was able to use his feet. I thought he looked extremely good throwing the ball on the run, which was we knew he could do that, but it looks like year to year. And what is this, year 9, 10 for him? I think he's 32 years old. I think him and Perry Ellis are living in an apartment together. So and Hunter Dickinson too, who we absolutely despise, lost us so much money in college basketball. Those guys all live in the dorm together. Yeah, it's tough, man. I'm not gonna speculate and just sit here and shoot the shit and say season's over, it's a wash. There's shit to take away from this game, but it's done. You start preparing for Utah. You show a little bit of fight. I think that's the key thing, right? Vegas at this point is going to have us, double-digit underdog in that game too. It's now when we watch the game, what's the effort level, right? Who's flying around making plays? Who's willing on offense to step up and say, hey, I have an opportunity here to maybe stamp my approval for next year and kind of prove, hey, I can be a core piece of this program moving forward under the Rich Rod offense. Not kicking the bucket, but you have to have some guys who have that mindset of this year of, hey, we might not be as good, we might be 500, but I still got to put on to kind of get my spot rolling into next year. And I think that's kind of what we're going to see later on in the season, whether it's quarterback, running back, offensive line. There's going to be some moving pieces, a lot of new faces. So that I'm kind of excited in a way to watch. But I got off topic there, but let's go back to defense. Like you said, they're on the field too much. It's hard to get off the field on third downs when you're just constantly on the field. Our boy Fred Perry almost knocked out Jalen Daniels, which I have no hate for. Whatever, do your thing. He's a mobile quarterback. It's going to happen. Obviously, it wasn't intentional. He slid kind of late, but he was giving himself up. It happens. He's mobile. Defense, I thought, still played fine, Noah. I mean, they gave up 41 points. Yeah, 7 points were from that. Was it a punt return or a kickoff return? The kickoff return out of halftime.
Yeah.
So the fight, the effort's still there. defense, we saw what they're capable of doing in the Ohio Pitt game. I'm not too concerned.
Yeah, the first touchdown they let up Gage, and almost a better play call than it was defensively. Kind of caught us in a situation where we're thinking they're going to roll out to the flats. Something's gonna open up in the flats for the first 1 yard. Everything shifts right. There's a guy sitting right in the middle of the field. Probably a missed assignment, right? Because right after that, you see Zach Alley, get these guys back and ready, and they don't let up a point for the whole rest of the quarter. I think it was. I think it was 10-3 going into the second. So you look at building blocks for the defense. I am so excited to see what this defense looks like at the end of the year for Zach Alley. This is going to be one hell of a play. I'm telling you right now, teams that come into Milan Pushker are scared, right? Because for one, you get the fans rocking behind you. You have a killer defense. I think everybody that watches that game realizes how good that defense is. And just what Zach Alley's able to do with the players. And not looking forward to next year because, like we said, the season isn't over, Gage. But when you look into more of okay, this is year one under this guy, right? This is year one. We're seeing what he's capable of. What about year two when he gets some guys out of high school that he knows are serious that can run his stuff? And then the portal comes open and he's like, hey, this edge rusher in the SEC doesn't fit exactly, but in the SEC, but he come here, he can be a serious talent. I think that's going to be really exciting to see what Zach Alley's able to do. Because as much as we forget about it, the transfer portal, there are guys paid on West Virginia's staff that are watching other teams right now saying, we want that guy next year. We want that guy. They're not talking to him right now, but when that portal comes open and if they put their name in it, there are guys there that we're ready to go look at. Just to stay more on the defensive side of the football, I know why Jamori didn't play last week. He did look a little bit kind of winded sometimes. I'm not going to say winded, but just like not fully in game shape yet. I think it's only going to get better for him. It was hard for him to make an impact on this game, Gage, because they were on the field so much. And you're fighting a losing battle no matter how many times.
It's a tough quarterback too as an edge rusher because anytime you're putting a good move on the tackle, he's already out of the pocket like that because he's so mobile.
And your rush point's changing, completely. You're aiming for that back hip of the quarterback. Just say for Nico, for example, his back hip he's only going forward. You get a guy like Jalen Daniels back there, he's shifty, can move. I mean, that changes 3 times within the same play, right? Where he's supposed to be rushing to try to contain this or get a sack. So, but just defensively, man, even turnovers, those type of things. There's a couple that we should have got on. They just do what they're supposed to. And coming into next week, we're not going to get into it, but Utah, I mean, they had a lot of questions offensively for themselves. This isn't a defense they want to see going into next week.
No, you're right. Before we proceed, you are right about the people, watching those games saying, hey, we like this guy. We can't talk to him yet. If Rich Rod or Zach Alley stumble across this video, hire us for that job. We we have watched our fair share, a lot of games, mid-major, MAC action, obviously outside of the Ohio game, things like that. There is a hell of a wide receiver in Wyoming right now who would look good in the gold and blue next year. So yeah, we got eyes all over Coach Richard, if you need us. So just give us a call. Yeah, man, like I said, I agree with everything you said. If people clicked on this video expecting us to kind of come on here and just, this is bullshit, fire it, shut it all down. Richard's first year he was here, I believe he went 3-8, and then the second year was 9-4, something like that. So not punting the season. 500 is kind of the realistic expectation. Now, 6 wins, a bowl game, 7 wins would be awesome. It's just kind of time to reevaluate. I think that as far as fans, we need to shift our mindset and realize what we thought was a sprint, right? We thought that this was going to be 1 year turnaround. Boom, we're competitive again. Sunshine, flowers, yada, yada. This is going to be a little bit of a marathon. Maybe not a full 5K. You and I, we go to the gym and stuff like that. 15 minutes on the treadmill and we're good. We're done with conditioning. This might be an instance where it's a 30-minute walk on the treadmill, right? It's a 45-minute walk. It's going to take a little bit more effort, a little bit more grit, a little bit more heart, right? It's not going to be easy results like that. And that's how we're going to take it. We're going to watch every single game as we always do and give our opinions and kind of our takeaway. And yeah, man, I'm excited to watch them play Utah. They're going to put up a fight. I have no doubt in my mind. You just got your absolute ass kicked. I mean, your ass literally kicked. And similar to the Ohio, guess who is out of everybody in this world? Nobody's more pissed off about getting their ass kicked than Coach Rich Rodriguez. I promise you guys that. And look what he did the next game versus Pitt. Not saying we're going to beat Utah. I'm just saying there is a little bit of this in the season, right? Once again, some of it could just be due to we're a bad away team. It happens. So I'm all good. Now, if you want to kind of wrap it up and any final thoughts, let it fly.
Yeah, Gage, just something to hit on. I think you were saying there at the end, and I really liked. And a good point is, this is West Virginia. Everybody thinks in the transfer portal that you should be able to turn things around right now. It's always mentioned that in the transfer portal area you could turn things, a bad program into a good program in 1 year. And I think that's true in the right situation. If we were at Ohio State, Michigan, even Clemson, some of these big name, Alabama, these big name schools, right, where commits seem to flock to because there's a lot of money, there's a lot of a lot of good situations, a lot of NFL proven talent that came from this place or that place. I think that's true. In 1 year, things can be turned around. And I'm not sitting here telling you Neil Brown ran this program into the ground. I'm not saying that. I don't fully believe that, right? But we haven't been in the top 25 in how many years, Gage? We haven't been in the top 25. So kids and student athletes that are looking to transfer in, that has a big thing to do. They want to play on nationally televised games. They want to play in big games. So if we're able to, kind of get through this first year and that next year we're able to crack the top 25, that's when you're going to see a lot of the, everything kind of turn around for West Virginia. And I think that's something that us as fans, we have to, kind of shrink our expectations for this year in the realization that, over the long haul, over the long run, we're able to, become again, not become because we have been at once or return to being a competitive program, in, the national, contentions, national contentions, Big 12 championships every year. But, not in one, not one day, not 1 year. It's small for a smaller program. I shouldn't say smaller, but, a lesser program than Ohio State, Michigan, those type of programs.
Yeah, and I actually am pissed off about one thing. I forgot, and I'll end it with this. Throw the damn ball to Cam Vaughn. I don't care. If it's 1-on-1, he's open. I promise you he's open. I know it's hard to throw the ball downfield, shit like that. I don't care. Throw him the ball. I don't care how we have to get him the ball. Get him the football. He is not going to be here next year because he is so good. I just want to watch him at his full potential at West Virginia. Okay, that's all. That's it. And then he can go on, and I will root for him when he's playing at Miami next year or whatever school that he chooses. That good. I don't care. Just I want to watch him succeed right here. Him and Fred Perry, those guys from Jacksonville State. Yeah, I watch them at Jacksonville State, watch them here. I know what they're capable of. So, yeah, man. Hey, appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to leave a comment. This is probably a little bit of a different. I really haven't, listened to other creators, kind of what their opinion and takeaway is from this game. So I don't know if we're kind of a different look as far as calm and just like not flipping the shit and flipping this futon up and down. But yeah, man, it's a long season. If you're that pissed off and that emotionally invested into West Virginia football about this loss, just go ahead and shut your suitcase and get ready for Ross Hodge and basketball season because those guys actually might turn it around in 1 year. No, that I'm not just saying that. But hey, we appreciate you watching, man. Make sure to leave a comment, like, subscribe, give away at 500, all that good stuff. We'll see you for the Utah game prediction Wednesday or Thursday.